Today I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty beanie using the simplest of stitches. As you can see, it creates this really pretty texture, but it's really not that thick, and it even looks good with a striping yarn like this one. So for this tutorial, you will need 80 to 90 yards of a super bulky weight yarn, and that is a size 6 here in the States. I'm using Yarn B Dream Supreme in the color linen. A gauge swatch is important for this pattern. I have done 6 rows of half doubles here, and for the gauge you need 9 half doubles in a 4.5 inch measurement, and you will need 6 rows. You will also need a 9mm hook, and that's what you will do the gauge swatch with, and that is for the hat body. We will use a smaller hook for the band, an 8mm hook. The hat is worked from the bottom up, starting here and working our way up, and then we'll come back and add the band at the end. You're going to leave yourself a longer beginning tail. We're going to use that to sew later. And we're going to foundation single crochet 39 stitches. To do that, you're going to want to chain 2. Insert your hook into the second chain from your hook. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Now you're going to yarn over and draw through 1 loop only, and we are creating our foundation chain at the same time that we single crochet. So there's our foundation chain. Now we've got 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and draw through both loops, and that completes the single crochet portion. So we made our chain stitch and our single crochet at the same time. Now you're going to insert your hook into the chain stitch that you just made, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then you're going to yarn over and draw through 1 loop only. And again, this is to create our chain stitch. Now you are going to yarn over and draw through both loops, and that finishes off the single crochet stitch. It creates sort of vertical stitches instead of horizontal ones. I'm going to show you one more time. Insert your hook into the chain stitch you just made, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then you're going to yarn over and basically just chain 1. Now you're going to yarn over and draw through both loops on your hook. You're just going to repeat this process over and over until you have a total of 39 stitches. So you can count your stitches like normal. There's the top of the stitches there. And you're just going to keep doing that until you have 39, and I'll meet you back here. Once you have 39 stitches, you need to be very careful and not twist your piece. And then you're going to join the first and last stitches and slip stitch into the first stitch. And this is going to create the bottom of the hat. Now for round 2, we're going to work into that same stitch where we joined. So chain 1, make 1 single crochet and 2 double crochet all in that same stitch. This is often called the blanket stitch, so you might be familiar with it. So we have 3 stitches, a single crochet and 2 doubles, all in that same stitch where we joined. Now we are going to skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch we're going to do it again. Make 1 single crochet followed by 2 doubles, all in that same stitch. Now you're going to skip 2 stitches, single crochet, and 2 doubles in the next stitch. So you're just going to repeat this process all the way to the end. We've done our single crochet and our 2 doubles. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches. And just repeat this all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. So here we are at the end. You should be skipping the last 2 stitches, and we're going to join into the first single crochet with a slip stitch. Now for round 3, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. You're going to feel like you're working sort of backwards because we're going to work into that same stitch where we joined, and this is going to kind of cover up our chain 1 that we start with. So you're going to make your single crochet and your 2 double crochet in that same stitch where you joined, and it's going to feel a little awkward because you feel like you're working backwards. But this makes a pretty seamless looking hat. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches, and you're going to make a single and 2 doubles in the next stitch. By the way, you should be making these cluster of stitches in the single crochet from the round below. So you should be skipping the 2 doubles that were in the round below and then making your 3 stitches in the single below. So skip 2 stitches and make your single and 2 doubles in the next stitch. So you're just going to repeat this process all the way to the end, skipping 2 stitches followed by a single and 2 doubles in the next stitch. And of course, at the end of this round, you should still have 39 stitches. We have not increased. I'll meet you at the end. Here we are at the end. We're going to be skipping these last 2 stitches and join with a slip stitch into the first single. So essentially, we're just going to keep repeating that last round until you have 11 rounds total. So that's chain 1 and turn. Do not forget to turn your work. Then you're going to work in that same stitch where you joined, so it'll feel like you're working backwards. Make 1 single and 2 doubles in that same stitch. And then of course you're going to skip 2 stitches. And in the next stitch, you're going to make your single and 2 doubles. So just repeat this process, skipping 2 stitches, followed by a single and 2 doubles in the next stitch, all the way around. So you're just going to repeat that last round until you have 11 rounds total. And I am including that foundation single crochet row in my row count here. So you will have 11 total rows, and I'll meet you at the decreasing rounds. Here we are. We should have 10 rounds of the stitch pattern plus the foundation round. So we should have a total of 11 rounds, and your hat should measure approximately 7.5 inches in length or 19 centimeters in length. I also want to mention, since this is a reversible stitch pattern, make sure the very first round after the foundation round is pointing outwards. Now we're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet to join, and we're going to start our decreasing rounds. For round 12, you chain 1 and turn. We're still working into the same stitch as joining, so sort of backwards. Now we're going to make a single crochet and a cluster. Now this is going to be slightly different. A cluster is basically 2 double crochet that we're turning into 1 stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over and draw through 2 loops only. There's half of a double crochet that we've started, but we're not finishing it. Now we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and draw through 2 loops only. There's the other double crochet that's halfway done. So we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and draw through all 3 loops on your hook. And this is going to keep the appearance of our stitch pattern, but we're decreasing at the same time. So we have a single crochet and technically just 1 double crochet there, but it looks like there's 2. So now we're going to skip 2 stitches, and we're going to make a single crochet followed by a cluster. Again, that cluster is yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2 loops, yarn over, insert your hook into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2 loops on your hook. You should have 3 loops total. Yarn over, draw through all 3 loops. Now you're going to skip 2 stitches and just repeat this process all the way to the end. So you're going to make a single crochet followed by a cluster in the next stitch. And then you're going to skip 2 stitches. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. So here we are at the end. You should have a total of 26 stitches, and you're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet to join. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. Make sure you don't work into that slip stitch. It's very easy to confuse it for a stitch. We're going to single crochet 2 together over those first 2 stitches of the round. And then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches. And single crochet into the next stitch. You're just going to repeat this process all the way around. You're going to decrease or single crochet 2 together in every other stitch. So you're going to decrease and then do 1 regular stitch all the way around. So the last 2 stitches of the round should be a single crochet 2 together. And you should have a total of 17 single crochet at the end of this round. You're going to slip stitch into the first single to join. And if you want a messy bun hat where you can put your ponytail through the top or whatever, then you would stop right here and skip on down to the band. But since we want a hat, we're going to do 1 more round. Chain 1 and don't turn. You're going to skip the same stitch that you joined in and single crochet in the next stitch. Skip the next stitch, single crochet. So essentially you're just going to repeat this all the way around. You're going to skip the next stitch, single crochet, skip the next stitch, single crochet. And the very last stitch of the round, you will be skipping it. So here I am skipping the last stitch, and of course you don't want to count that slip stitch as a stitch. And you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. And you should have a total of 8 single crochet. Then you're going to leave yourself a long tail and fasten off. Thread your tail onto a yarn needle, and in order to close this hole completely, we are going to whip stitch through the front loops only of the last round. That's these loops right here. So whip stitch through all of the front loops of this last round. And once you do that, you are simply going to pull the tail tightly to cinch it closed, and then you're going to take your tail to the inside of your hat and knot it off. Now I use this tail to sew on my pom-pom button. I get these from Angie and Britt, and I will link it in the description box, but it tells my customers how to care for their pom-pom because you can't wash them. It will destroy them. So I split the yarn in half, but you've got to be careful when you're sewing with it because this greatly weakens the yarn. So be very, very gentle when you are using a split yarn strand to sew the button on. And then of course I just knot it a whole bunch of times so that it doesn't come undone. So we're going to add the band next, but first we need to close this gap from the foundation round. So I'm threading my yarn needle onto that beginning tail, and then I am just sewing the first and last single crochet together of that foundation round. And then you're just going to weave your tail in really, really well. So I'm switching to my 8.0 millimeter hook, and we are going to make our rounds of the band. Now, when you do foundation single crochet the way I show you, you have this loop here, and then you have this loop here, almost looks like a front loop and a back loop, and then this almost looks like a third loop. So this is underneath in the inside of the hat. And like I said, it almost looks like a third loop, as you would see in like a half double crochet. I don't know what it's called, but the little third loop in the back there is the one that I am going to be working into. So join in any of those loops with your smaller hook. And we are going to chain one and single crochet in each stitch around. I am crocheting over the top of my beginning tail here. So I'm trying to go slow here to show you that I'm going in that loop towards the inside of the hat there. And as you can see, when you crochet into that loop, it creates this nice little texture right here that sort of gives it some more visual interest. So just continue doing that all the way around. Again, you should have 39 stitches when you're done with this round. So I will meet you at the end of this round. Here we are at the end. We're going to make an invisible slip stitch. So take your working yarn to the back, pull up a loop, insert your hook from back to front in the first stitch of the round, put your working loop on your hook and pull it to the back. Now we're going to chain one to begin our second round of our band, and we're going to be working into the back loops of the single crochet round we just made. That's these loops right here. So we're going to make one single crochet in the back loop in every stitch around. And as you can see here, it creates another ribbed section. So just do that all the way around and you should have 39 stitches. Now we're going to end with an invisible join, so we're not actually joining. Cut your yarn and then pull your working yarn all the way through your last loop. Then you're going to thread that tail onto a yarn needle and going from front to back under the loops of the first stitch and then through the back loop of the last stitch. Now you're just going to weave that tail in really, really well. And then once you've done that, we are going to add the pom-pom. So here's how I add my pom-pom. I get this from Amazon and it comes with this little elastic band here. I cut a length of yarn, probably like 5 or 6 inches long, and I put it through the elastic loop. And then I simply knot off the ends like I'm showing you here. You want to leave a little bit of tail there. and then cut off the excess. This is going to allow my customer to take their pom-pom on and off their hat without needing any extra tools to do so. Just take that knotted portion through a hole at the top, pull it into the inside, and add the elastic to the button. This allows them to remove it for washing. And of course, you're going to want to blow dry your pom-pom to make it look fluffy. But once you do that, you are done. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching.